Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Owner's Box After Dark. Of course, as you can see, it's not after dark right now. In fact, it's just the middle of the daytime here. It is the 7th episode, if I'm not mistaken, of The Owner's Box After Dark at noontime. And I'm here in beautiful North Falmouth, Massachusetts, getting a little bit of a sunburn on my face, and hopefully the shadows aren't too bad. I really can't see what's going on the camera right now. I just see a big reflection of my yellow shirt. So we're going to do the best we can, put out a little episode. I wasn't feeling up to it last night because it was a long day, and I didn't actually get back here until late because I was gone all day. And I will be trying to read off of my little cue cards again. Wrote them out just a couple of seconds ago, so bear with me. We will try not to be too disjointed about it all. Well, as you can tell, obviously, as I said, this is not the Owner's Box After Dark. Oops, there goes my notes. Oh, my goodness. All right. We will fudge our way through the first one. Right out the... Here we go. So, yesterday I took a ride back to the home base again. Had to go for my physical therapy for my knee surgery, or a pending knee surgery anyway. I'm doing exercises on my leg, trying to make it a little stronger, trying to get so I can still walk reasonably well, and then we'll evaluate the whole thing later to see what happens. So I still think sometime around October we're going to have to go in there and clean it up. Physical therapist really worked me yesterday. He did it well, so I can barely walk today on the left knee. It's pretty sore, so I'm going to take it easy. I didn't feel like walking on the beach today. Actually, this is the first time the sun's come out practically all day here. It was very cloudy, and there was some rain showers in the vicinity. Also, yesterday I was back in town for a meeting of our high school's Hall of Fame committee. We get together and we look at athletes of the past at our high school and decide who might be worthy of nomination to the committee, and then decisions are made, and then we have a big gala in November, usually right around Thanksgiving weekend, and it's usually very well attended. And it's amazing for a little high school, and for many years not a very successful one, although certainly it is now in many sports. The people who are honored come back, and they are just absolutely overjoyed to be part of it. And I feel proud to play a small role, and it is a small role. I'm not as active in it as some of the other people on the committee, but it's really nice, and it's good to see. So we talked about things like that. We went to a local establishment, a local pub in my hometown, and we had the whole restaurant area to ourselves. All the dining was going on outside in their parking lot, so they let us inside. And of course, as soon as we got inside, we all took our masks off. So hopefully it didn't become a COVID party, as they say. I think since most of these people are educators and have to be prepared for what's coming, I think they were all in pretty good shape and have been taking care of themselves, although they have families and such. So we'll see. I just hope the alcohol killed whatever was in me. So one of the things about the night, though, is I had a chance to talk about some of the coaches that were there about what might be coming up this fall, because there are some very, very important decisions that will have to be made. A couple of days ago, the Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association's Board of Directors voted to recommend a delay in the fall season to September 14th, which means no practices could start until that date. And that would push most of the sports over at least 1 or 2 weeks, and probably football to October 2nd. It's still up to Governor Charlie Baker here in Massachusetts, and he is relying on the input and the guidance from several panels to make the ultimate decision. But at this time, it's pretty clear to me that the coaches really aren't sure what's coming down the road. They are meeting a lot. They are talking about alternative schedules and all of the issues that have to be talked about at this time of year with the coronavirus really up there in their thoughts. trying to figure out how to socially distance during practice, locker room facilities, you name it. All that stuff has to be on the table, and it has to be on the table now because we're looking at only about a little bit more than a month before these decisions would normally have to be in place. Now they're giving them a little bit more time, but then with the potential of school opening, and nobody really knows yet if school is going to open at the right time here in the Commonwealth. So a lot of things that have to come up, and it's going to be very, very unique of a season. In fact, I was told that the football season may be conducted in a manner where the high school Super Bowls at Gillette Stadium, usually on the first weekend of December, won't be able to take place because those are the result of a lengthy playoff schedule, and they may only go for what they would call sectional championships this year. But again, all this has to be thrashed out, and it's not set in stone yet by any stretch of the imagination. So we will see in the days and weeks to come what will happen. But it was a very informative night, and I don't envy these people. They really got a lot of work ahead of them, and a lot of decisions have to be made. And I know they will go into it trying their best to make the best decisions for everybody concerned, but especially for the student athletes, because that's really their first concern, is to make sure that they are safe and they will be able to conduct their practices and their games safely, if possible. Also tough, though, that I noted last night for people who run athletic type facilities. We have one in the just in our neighboring town of Foxborough. It's called Mass Premier Courts. It's run by the Mansfield High School basketball coach, or he's part of the ownership. And it is where almost all of our area's basketball players really improve their skills. It's been a godsend to the area when basketball is concerned. But they've had to cancel tournaments. They've had to cancel their popular summer leagues. There are some practices and some instruction going on there, and it is all very tightly monitored according to the rules and regulations for COVID-19 awareness. But it's really been a shame to see the summer leagues go. Those high school summer leagues are really the first highlight of my summer, and really of my basketball season, which doesn't start until the end of November. But it's always great to see these kids in action and to see what they're capable of doing and what hopefully they will be able to do once the real season starts. Now, there's still questions in everybody's mind as to whether sports will be okay even by then. Some states are canceling everything until December 31st, which would start winter seasons later than usual. That has not been discussed here in the Commonwealth yet, but we will see, again, how everything progresses. Fortunately, the COVID-19 curve is still pretty flat here in Massachusetts, but that could change at any day. People travel in and out of this state a lot, and especially down here on Cape Cod. I'm concerned. I don't really want to go to crowded places right now. I haven't seen too many people bucking the mask trend. Most of them are wearing them in crowded spaces when they don't know the people involved, what they're involved with. And even then, we had social distancing last night, too. I mean, we were pretty far apart from each other as we were discussing all this stuff. That's why we were able to take up almost basically the inside of the whole restaurant. So those things will have to be watched very closely. But I'm very concerned when I go anywhere here right now. So I'm just kind of looking forward to getting these last couple of days out of the way. I'm making my own food on this thing behind me, and I will be heading back to the safety of my own house in not long at all. This is all uncharted territory for all of us, believe me. And when I see what's happening in the southern states, I just have got to hope and pray that we continue to control this coronavirus around here and get through all this without any further horrible incidents. Okay. At the same time that all this is going on, I saw a report on television, Boston's Channel 4, during their news broadcast about someone from, I think, Carver, town near Plymouth, that had Eastern equine encephalitis last year. And The report was tied in with some medical experts saying that this could be the second year of a huge 3-year cycle for mosquitoes carrying the triple E virus. That's all we need. Something else. Last year, when I was doing the play-by-play for King Philip Regional High School football, there were an awful lot of schools that were either moving the games or moving them over to another day or changing their game times to earlier in the days to try to get them played when the risk of mosquito bites would not be at its height. Now, King Philip managed to keep all of its games at 7 o'clock, its home games. And I didn't feel like I was at much of a risk because I was inside a closed press box, even though we have the windows open. I guess I never felt any mosquitoes. They also kind of don't really like artificial turf. That's one thing I've noticed, that they kind of stay away from the turf fields a little bit. But if they're hungry enough, they'll come out. But we got through it okay. But I know Glenn Farley and I covered one game at Taunton High School at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was in mid-October, and it was a beautiful, beautiful day. Absolutely gorgeous day. In fact, if you somehow get a chance to watch the video on YouTube of the game, you'll see how beautiful a day was, because our cameraman needed to kind of hone in on his camera, his skills a little bit, his video shooting skills. For the longest time, you saw everything in the picture. You saw Taunton, you saw Dighton, you saw Rehoboth. You could see, on a clear day, you can see forever, and that was basically the camera angle he got until he figured it out and he got closer to the action. But what a gorgeous day it was, and it was again 4 o'clock start, and I made me kind of miss the old days. When I was a kid, back before indoor plumbing, we had only Saturday games because we did not have lights. At our high school, there was only one school in our area that did, North Attleboro High School at downtown Community Field is what it's called. And, of course, they would have a Friday night game, and every kid from every one of the other towns in the league would show up at Community Field for the Friday night games because it was the only game in town. And then all of a sudden everybody figured, my goodness, let's make some money. Let's have night games. So get bigger crowds. So more and more schools got the lights, and of course the crowds got smaller and smaller because the same people that were coming to the North Attleboro games now were going to their own schools' games. So the crowds got smaller, and everybody's saying, well, I don't know if we've made that much money off these things, but they still have the lights, and then they let other sports play under the lights too nowadays. But I think every now and then I love to see that afternoon game. It's just so different. It reminds me of my youth, and the sunshine on a nice kind of a unseasonably warm fall day, and you get to see the changing colors on the leaves, and just that whole atmosphere is great. So that game at Taunton was a happy memory. Not a happy memory for the Tigers. I think they were beaten pretty handily by King Philip. I think King Philip got out to a 21-0 lead. A 28-0 lead at halftime, and then Taunton scored a couple of touchdowns in the second half to make it look closer. So hopefully we'll be able to do that again this year. I really want to go back out there and start covering these games. But I'll tell you one thing: if the way things are going, if I cover games out there this year, I might want to wrap myself in bubble wrap first, because it's a scary environment. Okay, next on the docket. This morning, I went to breakfast at one of my favorite places. There's a diner right nearby. It's run by some folks from Watertown, and they're very, very nice people, and they really do a great job on the breakfasts. And, of course, they've rearranged the restaurant and all that to have plexiglass up and have the seating socially distanced between tables, and, the waitresses all wear masks, and I wore it for most of the day until it was time to open my mouth to put my food in. But as I'm sitting there, a guy comes in to get a takeout order, and he's standing on the other side of the plexiglass from me, and he's talking to the woman behind the bar who is basically running the shift that day. And she asks him if they're going to the beach and all that, and what the beach was like, and she says the beach has been packed, and she said, oh, that's too bad. You can't really socially distance. And he said, I don't care about any of that. It's nonsense. Kids love it. Put the old folks inside and and let us have our fun. And then he walks out. I really wanted to say something. Old folks, huh? Okay, I'm 66 years old. I'm a diabetic. I had a stroke in 2014. There's 100 things wrong with me, and there's about 1,000 things that aren't, thank God. And when I hear something like that, I just wanted to get up and say in that guy's face, man, I hope you walk into the first person who's coughing. But, of course, that would be wrong, as Richard Nixon said. So, I just love it when you hear things like that. It's very strange to be in a different demographic than I used to be. Okay, the next topic. Baseball is back. It will be back in full swing today. This is Thursday, July 23rd, 2020, of course. And the Red Sox start up actually tomorrow night against the Baltimore Orioles at Fenway Park. But they've had a couple of practice games at Fenway. They had 2 games with the Toronto Blue Jays, or the wherever Blue Jays. They don't know where they're going to be playing their games yet. It seems like nobody wants them. It's very interesting that the entire country of Canada says, no, the baseball team can't play here, but then all of the National Hockey League is converging upon 2 cities in Canada. So, yeah, whatever you think is right, I guess. But anyway, I watched the first of the 2 exhibition games against the Jays, and it was kind of an interesting experience. First of all, the broadcast team from Nesson, Dave O'Brien, Dennis Eckersley, and Jerry Remy, they aren't broadcasting from within Fenway Park now. They are sitting in the Nesson studios in Watertown, and they're watching monitors, and they're all socially distanced inside their studio. But they've got monitors galore from all of the cameras working the game, and they are really they're doing a great job. I mean, I really felt that first night the commentary was as good as, if not better, than some of the times when they've been in the stadium. Now, I don't know if, in fact, I didn't get a chance to do baseball games this year. This was going to be my first time doing baseball, but obviously the coronavirus interrupted it. But I wanted to do baseball just because, I've been listening to baseball ever since I was a kid. And there is a certain flow to it that when you're in the stadium and you're seeing the pitches, you're seeing the balls and strikes, and you're seeing what they're throwing, you can get a better view of it. I didn't get the sense that the guys on the Nesson broadcast were really hindered at all from that. And I just thought they had better byplay. First of all, they were all glad to be back. You could tell that. And I thought it was one of the best nights of baseball I'd heard for a while, except, as usual, the Red Sox bullpen collapsed, and they lost a game that had been leading all the way through. So I put down on Twitter the first of the year, they're ruining my summer! And the funny thing is, too, they had the in the stands reporter, Garen Austin, they had her at Fenway Park doing on-the-field reports. The thing is, there's nothing in the stands to do. I mean, they had her walking around inside the empty stadium, sitting next to some of the placards of faces that they have up in the monster seats, and she looks summery out there, and that's nice to look at. But I don't really know what the purpose of it was. The other thing was that every now and then they would cut to about 9 people on Zoom on the camera view, on your TV view, and they would all be doing like that. But I think they ran the same tape about 5 times because they all looked like they were doing the same thing every time they did something. It was like when J.D. Martinez hit a home run the other night, and then they cut to that. It's like, come on, guys. And the other thing was the piped-in crowd noise. I mean, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. I'm sorry, and all of the teams are doing it. What do you think they are? The Indianapolis Colts? I mean, let's face it. I mean, if you're gonna be putting in fake crowd noise, it's to cheat. I hope they get away from that, but it doesn't sound like they're going to. In fact, I think there was a story today that I think one of the guys, whether it was Remy or Eck, I don't know, but one of them said they actually need that sound to kind of pace the tone of their broadcast. Now, as someone who has not done baseball, I don't know. If I was going to be doing baseball, I was going to be doing it with no crowd noise whatsoever, because I can guarantee you King Philip baseball and any other baseball in the Hockomock League does not draw a crowd like they would have at Fenway Park, even a fake crowd. So something that will have to be learned. And I think that will be it for today's The Owner's Box afternoon. Again, if you would like to see all of my podcasts, also the audio ones, you want to find links to them and find commentary that I usually do, that I used to do in the newspaper, but don't anymore because I'm not working for the newspaper anymore. You can go to my website, which is www.theownersbox2020.com. And if you want to send me an email and you want to tell me that you like this or you don't like this and that I should stop doing it immediately, look at the address here. Okay? The address is theownersbox, hold it still, 2020 at gmail.com. Now, freeze frame, look at how that's spelled. No spaces, no punctuation. That's what you do. That's what you send it to. Or you can write me a letter on snail mail and send it to the Owner's Box, Post Office Box 272, Mansfield, Massachusetts, 02048. I will be there soon to check to see if I get any mail. It's a small box, no bombs. And that will do it for today's episode of this video, podcast, vlog. I don't know what they call these things. I hope you enjoyed it, and I expect to be back for one more from down here, probably tomorrow night, and then we'll see what the winds bring us to when we return to the home base. Once again, thank you very much. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. And good afternoon, everybody. And play the music. I am really bad on that cue, aren't I? See you later, folks.